Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at NECA's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin KARAI. Actually, one of my favorite characters from Ninja Turtles, thanks to Turtles Tournament Fighters. Question of the day, do you wish NECA would continue their Turtles Tournament Fighters line? They only made the Shark guy so far, and he was in a loot crate. I want them to make a whole batch of figures for that game. It would be amazing. My favorite line from them ever if they would do it. What do you guys think? Okay, so this figure, a lot of people had some things to say about it when they first showed it. They didn't like the way the face looks. I have comments about that going forward. I'm not going to give them right now, or you'll just leave right away, and I don't want that. But this has some really good stuff going for it, and a few things that I think definitely should have been done differently. We're going to talk about all of that. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Okay, before we look at the figure, let's take a quick look at my package. I think the front is fine. We have some nice artwork of the character. Not the best look, I guess. It's kind of just a strange pose if you ask me, but it's alright. It does give you some indication of what the character should look like. Face is fairly accurate to the figure. The eyes are different though, don't know about that. The way they did her chest is very strange if you ask me. That almost looks like big pecs rather than boobages. Kind of a weird look for her, so it's going to be kind of hard to translate that to a figure accurately and have the figure look the way most people want it to look. Don't know. There's another example of her face. She's not the most feminine looking character in the way she's drawn. And I think a lot of people had some problems with the way the face looked in these photos that they showed originally. We're going to talk about that, but it's decent packaging for sure. There's the side with the turtle on it, and I guess this side is the one where it's turning into a mural if you save the packages. Unfortunately, I don't save the packages. I don't have unlimited space. There's the figure again, and there's that. The last thing I want to mention is her scarf here. Looks more like a hood, or just a really big scarf, and the scarf on the figure is kind of small. But the difference is, that seems to be the case with all of the turtle figures that are based on comics. I don't know if that's because they're drawn differently or what, but there always seems to be some differences, and people in the comments seem to usually have reasons for that. So if you guys have that, you can share. All right, this one stands roughly 6 3/8 inches. That's gonna make her just about 16 centimeters. Did I measure that first part right? Yeah, I did. Okay, so here she is up against Darwin, about the same size. You could fudge her into a 1/12 scale, but I do think she's probably a little bit tall, given that she's the same size as Darwin. All right, so let's start off with the things that I think should change, assuming she's supposed to look like a woman as opposed to the person with the big pecs on the artwork. I think her hips are narrow, her trunk, her main abdomen area is broad, and then her boobages are very just giant lumps rather than having any shape to them. Now, I'm not saying she needs to have like defined cleavage and stuff, not my point. I just think her body doesn't have as much shape as it should. It makes her look very brickish, and maybe that's just the way she's always drawn. I'm not super familiar with the comics, but I know a lot of people were complaining about these sorts of things, and I don't know if that's just their head version, their mental image of the character, or if it's actually the way she's supposed to look. But this isn't that far off from that cover art, so I can't fault it too much. It does have a strange, blocky shape to her torso. All right, and then as far as the faces go, a lot of people were saying that she looks too masculine. I don't think so. I think she does have more of a handsome woman look rather than a very pretty, feminine, petite type of thing, but I think these are wonderful face sculpts. I think that's really damn good. That's one of the best face sculpts. And the yelling head, let me just pull that out. That's one of the most emotive face sculpts we have seen from an action figure company anywhere near this price point. That's wonderful, and it's painted incredibly well. Look at the mouth. Of course, it's still a mass-produced figure. It's not perfect, but that is a damn good head sculpt. Both of them are. I think those are wonderful. I was very surprised to see these in person. I thought it looked pretty rough in the photos, but these look great. Really good. Now the body, again, I don't think they're leaning into the comic enough. They're like going back and forth. Different comic figures have different levels of black line work and shading and whatnot. This figure, if it wasn't for the detailed head, almost looks like a cartoon figure because it's very flat. There's no shading anywhere, of course, and we just have the black lines and they're not heavy or anything. So stylistically, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It looks fine to me, and it seems to match the other figures in the Last Ronin line enough, but she doesn't have any shading, which throws it off some. What's there is clean. You can see the line work on the wraps and stuff. That's all good. It's doesn't have the same level of details here. For instance, this guy has a wash all over all of his brown stuff. This lady doesn't have any. Now, it's not like it's gonna kill your collection display or anything like that, but a little more consistency I think would be good. But she does look good overall, better than I thought she would. The torso, I just don't know what's going on with that. From here to here, it's weird looking, and it kind of is on the artwork too, so I can't really say, but I'll give it an 8 overall. It looks pretty good. I think those faces are just wonderful. They're such good head sculpts, and the paint jobs are as immaculate as you can expect for this price point. All right, for accessories, you did see the normal head and the yelling head. Very nicely done. For hands, she has 2 open hands on her in the package, 2 fist hands, and then a few different gripping hands. That's enough. You should be fine. You do get a little kunai, which is meant for her to hold and I guess punch with. So that's pretty cool. You get her sword. I don't like the little tassel on the bottom. It's not even on the artwork on the front of the box, but that being a straight tassel looks really weird, especially when you put it in the sheath. Doesn't make any sense, but you do get those accessories. It's not bad. I'll say 7 out of 10, not counting the alternate head. It's so good, though, I'm going to bump it up to an 8 for accessories. Otherwise, it's a little light, kind of lacking, and that tassel on the sword is weird. Okay, for the articulation, you're not going to move her head a whole bunch, especially with that scarf in place, but it does lean. It is on a ball peg. It's pretty limited, though, by the hair. I think they could have used a softer material. It's not super stiff, but it is there. And then the scarf getting in the way of the chin. I think it'll be okay, but don't expect anything dynamic. For the shoulders, this is fresh out of the box by the... Oh, I have to remind you guys, or tell you guys if you haven't seen my other videos. My hands look like this because I'm building my collection room in my basement, and I just did all the wiring, and I have lots of little fine cuts from the wires, and that's why my hands look like I just punched through barbed wire. Anyway, her shoulder, pretty tight right out of the package, but you can almost get it up to horizontal. For rotation, it's fine. It'll go all the way around, no issue. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbows work, no problem at all. That's just dandy. Wrists have a swivel and a hinge. The gripping hands all have horizontal hinges. That's super annoying. She's not going to be able to pose with her sword especially well. Her torso, you can get rotation out of the top. It only kind of wiggles. It doesn't have any real play. And then you get another rotation down here. This torso is weak. Weak sauce. Should have been 2 double ball, or at least a double up here and a single down here. Ball peg straight through. This one barely has any range, and this is just a swivel. Not happy with that. Hips. Standard old school ball sockets. Decent spread though. She should be able to pose kicking just fine, and it's not super loose, so that's good. Going forward, pretty limited. She's not posing as well as I would have liked. I mean, I know it's NECA and they tend to favor aesthetic, but what is wrong with her wouldn't have affected the aesthetic. I think they could have gotten much better range out of this release. Let's see. Knee works nicely. You can probably get a little bit more. Yeah. So it's okay. Her proportioning isn't great and her range is relatively limited. Ankles are pretty solid. I'll take that. It's okay. I'll give it a 6. I'm going to only give it a 6 because the torso sucks for no real reason. That's unfortunate. She's a little warped out of the package, by the way. You can see her arms are curved. You can just fix that with some hot water. But it's okay. It's not great. It's not their strongest release, but it's not a bad release. If you like the character, I think you'll be fine with it. Just don't expect something that it's not. It's going to look pretty good, especially the faces, good accessories. It'll pose well enough, but nothing as good as it should be, I think. Nothing near as good as it should be. So it's okay. For NECA, I'll give it a 7. Overall, it's a 7. It's not impressive. It's a perfectly acceptable release. I'm not disappointed in it. I just wish it was better. You know what I mean? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. But there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.